Hello, Facebook world. My name is Rachel Lytle. I'm a loan officer with Land of Lincoln Credit Union Prosperity Branch. Today we're going to talk about Friday financial facts. So I'm here just to kind of give you guys a good rundown on some good tips on how to help your credit, things to avoid, things that we look at here, and just a general, if you guys have any questions or concerns at the end, I'll go ahead and I'll put my information so that I can help you guys out. So I kind of thought of mainly maybe 4 or 5 important things that I always try to give advice to my members when they're applying for a loan or when they're trying to just figure out how to improve their score. So the first thing I want to stress on is always make your payments on time. Even if you miss one payment and it was accidental, I can see that even if it was years ago. Any loan officer will be able to see any sort of late payments that you have, and especially if they're on loans or on credit cards, it is absolutely devastating towards your score. And it could take years for your score to come back up after something like that. So in the event that something horrible happens, we all know how life can be, definitely always call the creditors that you work with and that you have payments with and try to work something out with them before it happens. Prevention is key with that type of situation. Number 2 is check your credit report, obviously. A lot of people come in and they think they might have, a paper, which is maybe like 750s or so, and then they come in and they find out, oh, I have all these crazy medical collections, or UVerse took me to a collection company. I haven't even had UVerse for years. Or even worse, and what's absolutely devastating, is if you've had any sort of identity theft happen, and of course it could have been happening and maybe you didn't even know about it. So I always suggest things like creditkarma.com, or I know that like Capital One and a couple other websites also have like a little monitoring system. Now I do want to make it very clear, Credit Karma and those type of websites do not have an exact number. So even if your Credit Karma says that you have an 800 score, do not be shocked if you come in and you actually have a 780, 778, something like that. Those websites are good for just to give you a roundabout number of what you have. But what they are excellent for is detecting things like identity theft. So when you log into those websites, usually they will have some sort of area where it will tell you all the collections that you have in your name. So if you see things on there that don't make sense or you've never heard of, please absolutely get those squared away very quickly. Whenever I do pull anybody's credit, depending on how many pulls they've had in the past 2 years, sometimes my pull might make your score a little lower, which I'll get into in a minute, but it always is just so much easier when the member already knows what they're looking at, instead of me having to tell them, hey, did you know that you had all these things on here? And then they have to deal with the identity theft, and then they have to deal with police reports. And in the long run, it's going to take months for them to even get the loan that they applied for to begin with. So that's number 2, is be diligent, make sure that your information is safe, make sure that you check your credit reports and that everything that's supposed to be there is there. Number 3, whenever people do any sort of debt consolidations, let's say you went a little overboard on a credit card or 2 or 3, no judgment. We can go ahead and we can do personal loans for you. And I have a lot of people ask me, okay, well, now that I paid off this credit card, do you want to go ahead and shred it? Can I shred it here? Should I close it? And I always tell them, don't do that. Go ahead and keep the card open. At least you have, how much money available to you. If you cut up all your credit cards after you've paid them off, it's actually going to lower your score, even though you did do the amazing job of paying off all your credit cards. The more that you actually have available to you, even if you're not using it, even if the balance is 0 and the card is just sitting there, your score will be nice and pretty. And on top of that, it shows that you can keep a relationship with whatever institution you were working with. So just because you pay something off, as much as you may hate this company and want to pop a bottle of champagne for achieving something like that, don't close it right away. Keep it open for at least a little bit. Number 4 is a little bit what I was talking about earlier as far as people pulling your credit. So in a 2-year time, you really shouldn't have more than, I would advise no more than 7 or 8 people pull your credit. If you have like a pull here or there, it's not going to affect your score. But it's when you actually start getting into the, over 10, and then I've even had some people who, went to, let's say, like a dealership, and they had their credit pulled 20 times in one day and didn't even know about it. That's when it can actually get really dicey towards your score. So if you're out there and you are shopping, let's say for a vehicle or a house or, whatever it is, do your research first. Make sure that you look up companies before you just let everybody and anybody pull your credit. So that's what I have for you today. So just remember those 4 things, and if anybody has any questions, I'll make sure to put my information on here and we'll go ahead and handle it from there. But thanks for stopping by.